In the heart of West Virginia, a crisis is unfolding as food banks struggle to maintain their operations following significant cuts to federal aid. The implications of these cuts, amounting to approximately $1 billion, have rippled through communities already grappling with high poverty rates. As Deirdre Calhoun serves lunch to senior citizens at the Roosevelt Community Center in Charleston, West Virginia, the stark reality of limited resources becomes painfully clear. Sarah Bussey, who oversees a local charity, Trinity's Table, faces an unprecedented challenge in providing meals to the needy. Once able to rely on the U.S. Department of Agriculture for essential ingredients, Bussey now finds her pantry stocked with dried cranberries, crackers, and vegetable soup, far from the balanced meals she strives to offer. "What am I supposed to do?" she laments, highlighting the dire situation many food banks are now in. The cuts in federal aid, initiated by the Trump administration earlier this year, have intensified the struggles of charitable organizations tasked with feeding vulnerable populations. According to Feeding America, an advocacy group, the reductions in aid have forced many to dip into their reserves or scramble for donations to fill the gaps left by the government's withdrawal. With food banks depending heavily on federal support, the impact has been particularly severe in Appalachia, where the government typically provides around 40% of food supplies to organizations like the Facing Hunger Food Bank. Cindy Kirkhart, the CEO of Facing Hunger, explains that her organization expected 16 truckloads of food in April but received only 5 after many were canceled due to the funding cuts. The deliveries that did arrive were often filled with mismatched items, complicating the preparation of nutritious meals. "This is the last of the meat that we received from USDA," Kirkhart notes, pointing to near-empty freezers in her warehouse. The situation has forced local food banks and charities to adapt creatively. Bussey, for instance, has resorted to purchasing additional ingredients out of pocket to ensure her clients receive at least one nutritious meal a week. Such resourcefulness is commendable but unsustainable. She has already depleted a significant portion of her organization's savings. "It's like being on Chopped every week," she quips, underscoring the grim reality of turning limited resources into meals. The cuts come after a period of increased funding during the pandemic, where food aid quadrupled to $3 billion in 2020. Under the Trump administration, however, the trend reversed, with the Agriculture Department justifying the reductions as a necessary fiscal measure. Critics argue that these cuts disregard the increasing hunger faced by millions, especially in regions like West Virginia, where food insecurity is prevalent. As communities face escalating needs, the unpredictability of food supply continues to loom large. The recent focus on creative solutions, including unexpected donations, illustrates the resilience of local organizations. One such instance involved a truckload of Cheez-Its arriving after an accident, a mixed blessing that provided snacks but lacked the nutritional value that families urgently require. The ongoing struggle for food banks highlights a critical intersection of policy and human need. With the federal government's role in food assistance diminishing, organizations like Trinity's Table and Facing Hunger are left to shoulder an increasingly heavy burden. "This affects professional people who have always worked, always contributed," says Patricia Roseborg, a retired teacher and food bank client, emphasizing that food insecurity can touch anyone. As the months progress, the question remains, how long can these organizations continue to operate under such constraints? With dwindling supplies and financial resources, many fear that the essential services they provide could soon be at risk. The situation not only underscores the urgent need for policy reform but also calls for a renewed commitment to addressing hunger in America. The future of food assistance remains uncertain, with advocates hoping for a shift in priorities that recognizes the fundamental need for a robust safety net. As local leaders and volunteers rally to meet the demands of their communities, the ongoing struggle serves as a stark reminder of the critical importance of food security and the collective responsibility to ensure no one goes hungry. In a whirlwind of political activity, former President Donald Trump has made headlines yet again, this time for his public praise of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. This unexpected endorsement comes on the heels of Amazon's decision to deny claims that they would disclose the costs of tariffs to consumers. Trump's remarks highlight the ongoing tension between large corporations and government policies, particularly as the nation grapples with economic challenges. During a recent rally in Michigan marking his 100th day back in office, Trump noted Bezos is a smart guy, acknowledging the Amazon CEO's ability to navigate complex market dynamics. This statement surprised many given Trump's past criticisms of Bezos, particularly regarding Amazon's tax practices and its perceived dominance in the retail sector. The former president's praise could signal a strategic shift in his approach to big tech companies, as he seeks to bolster support from various economic sectors. The backdrop to this exchange is significant. The Biden administration has been actively scrutinizing large corporations, particularly regarding their pricing strategies in light of inflation and supply chain disruptions exacerbated by the pandemic. Amazon's decision to resist disclosing tariff costs is seen as a move to protect its competitive edge, but it also raises questions about transparency and consumer rights. Analysts suggest that Trump's endorsement may be an attempt to align himself with corporate interests that could be pivotal in upcoming elections. Furthermore, the implications of this relationship extend beyond mere rhetoric. Trump's administration has previously been characterized by its combative stance towards technology giants, often framing them as monopolistic entities that require regulation. His recent comments may indicate a desire to forge alliances with these companies to foster economic recovery and job creation, particularly as the nation faces a challenging economic landscape. In addition to his comments on Bezos, Trump's rally was also marked by discussions surrounding immigration policies. Reports surfaced indicating that USPS law enforcement has been involved in efforts related to a mass deportation initiative, a move that has drawn criticism from various advocacy groups. The intersection of technology and law enforcement in this context raises concerns about privacy and civil liberties, as well as the role of government agencies in enforcing controversial policies. As Trump continues to navigate these complex issues, the potential for collaboration or conflict with major technology companies remains uncertain. His administration's approach to economic policy, immigration, and corporate regulation will undoubtedly influence the business landscape in the coming months. Observers are keenly watching how these dynamics unfold, particularly as the 2024 election approaches, which could see a reconfiguration of alliances among political and corporate leaders. In conclusion, Trump's recent endorsement of Bezos amidst Amazon's tariff disclosure decision encapsulates the intricate relationship between government, big business, and economic policy. As the former president seeks to solidify his platform, the impact of these interactions will likely resonate throughout the broader socio-economic environment, shaping the narrative leading up to the next election cycle. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether this newfound camaraderie with tech giants will translate into tangible policy changes or remain a fleeting moment in the political landscape. In a rapidly evolving business landscape, companies are constantly seeking innovative solutions to enhance their operational efficiency and customer satisfaction. Starbucks, the global coffeehouse giant, has recently made headlines for its commitment to improving order fulfillment speed, a crucial aspect in today's fast-paced consumer environment. According to a report by the Wall Street Journal, Starbucks has been actively implementing strategies to streamline its processes, aiming to significantly reduce wait times for customers. In recent months, the company has recognized that the ability to deliver orders quickly is not just a matter of convenience, it is essential for maintaining competitive advantage in the crowded food and beverage industry. "We are making strides in refining our operational capabilities," a Starbucks spokesperson stated. This dedication to improving service is part of a broader initiative to enhance customer experience across its stores, especially as the company navigates the challenges of a post-pandemic market. Starbucks has invested heavily in technological solutions such as advanced point-of-sale systems and mobile ordering platforms, which allow customers to place orders ahead of time and pick them up at their convenience. This strategy not only caters to the increasing demand for speed but also aligns with the growing trend of digital engagement among consumers. The emphasis on digital channels reflects a significant shift in how customers interact with brands, making it imperative for businesses to adapt accordingly. The impact of these improvements is already being felt. Reports indicate that customers are responding positively to the enhanced speed of service, which has led to increased customer satisfaction and loyalty. As Starbucks continues to roll out these improvements, the company is also facing the challenge of integrating new technologies seamlessly into its existing operations. However, the road ahead is not without its obstacles. With labor shortages and supply chain disruptions still affecting many sectors, including food and beverage, Starbucks must navigate these challenges while maintaining its commitment to speed and quality. "We are aware of the hurdles ahead, but we are focused on finding creative solutions," the spokesperson added, underscoring the company's proactive approach. As Starbucks pushes forward with its initiatives to fulfill orders more swiftly, the implications extend beyond just faster service. This effort could redefine customer expectations within the industry, prompting competitors to follow suit and enhancing their own operational efficiencies. Looking ahead, it will be interesting to see how Starbucks continues to innovate and adapt in a rapidly changing market. The company's commitment to improving order fulfillment speed is just one aspect of its broader strategy to enhance customer engagement and sustainability. As consumer preferences evolve, the effectiveness of these strategies will undoubtedly shape Starbucks' future and its position within the global coffee market. In a landscape increasingly shaped by political dynamics, Coca-Cola is feeling the pinch of consumer sentiment influenced by the policies of former President Donald Trump. Recent reports indicate a noticeable decline in Coca-Cola's sales across various markets, particularly in Denmark, Mexico, and among Hispanic consumers in the United States. This downturn underscores how geopolitical tensions and domestic policies can ripple through the economy, affecting even the most established global brands. In Denmark, consumer backlash has been particularly pronounced. Carlsberg, the Danish company that bottles Coca-Cola, reported a slight decrease in sales as Danish consumers boycott the American soft drink in response to Trump's provocative comments regarding Greenland, a territory that the former president suggested the U.S. might purchase. Carlsberg CEO Jacob Arup Andersen acknowledged the boycott's impact, stating, "There is a level of consumer boycott around the U.S. brands, and it's the only market where we're seeing that to a large extent." He noted that local alternatives such as Jolly Cola have seen a significant surge in popularity, with sales skyrocketing in March. The sentiment against Coca-Cola is not isolated to Denmark. In Mexico, the company's sales have also been pressured by consumer sentiment tied to Trump's immigration policies. The Mexican bottler Coca-Cola FEMSA reported a 5.4% decline in volumes, attributing this to geopolitical tensions and a slowdown in economic activity. James Quincy, Coca-Cola's CEO, highlighted the effect of misinformation, particularly viral videos that falsely claimed the company was reporting undocumented workers to immigration authorities. While Quincy dismissed these claims as completely false, their spread nevertheless contributed to the brand's declining sales among Hispanic consumers. The international landscape has further complicated Coca-Cola's position. In predominantly Muslim countries, sales have fallen following the escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict as consumers react against perceived American complicity in global conflicts. Despite a modest global increase of 2% in unit case volumes in the first quarter, Coca-Cola's performance reflects a complex interplay of local sentiments and geopolitical tensions that can rapidly shift consumer behavior. As Coca-Cola navigates these challenges, the broader economic implications of Trump's policies are becoming increasingly evident. The company is not alone. Other U.S. brands are similarly facing boycotts and declining sales in response to Trump's controversial stances. The growing nationalism among consumers in Canada and elsewhere highlights a trend that could reshape market dynamics in the coming years. Looking ahead, Coca-Cola's leadership will need to adapt not only to the shifting political landscape but also to evolving consumer sentiments. As Quincy noted, while the trade-related challenges may be manageable, the long-term effects of these geopolitical tensions on brand perception and sales are a growing concern. With local brands gaining traction and consumers increasingly prioritizing homegrown options, Coca-Cola's ability to respond effectively to these challenges will be crucial for its sustained success in the global market. As geopolitical dynamics continue to evolve, the soft drink giant may need to rethink its strategies to maintain relevance and consumer loyalty in an increasingly polarized world. In a chilling account of the perils faced by journalists in conflict zones, the recent revelation of Ukrainian journalist Victoria Roshchina's detention and subsequent death in a Russian prison highlights the grave consequences of the ongoing war in Ukraine. Roshchina, who was only 27 years old at the time of her death, became a symbol of the struggle for truth in a landscape fraught with misinformation and oppression. Captured in mid-2023 near the Zaporizhia nuclear power station, Roshchina was one of the few journalists willing to cross the front lines to expose the realities of life under Russian occupation. According to her colleague, she was deeply committed to her mission, often disappearing for weeks at a time to gather information from occupied territories. For her it was a mission, remarked Sevil Muzieva, the editor-in-chief of Ukrainska Pravda. She was one of the bravest journalists I met in my career. After a year of detention without charge and minimal contact with the outside world, only a brief phone call with her parents, Roshchina's life was tragically cut short. Preliminary forensic reports indicate numerous signs of torture, including burn marks from electric shocks and broken bones, suggesting a brutal treatment during her captivity. The circumstances surrounding her death remain murky, compounded by missing body parts that could have clarified the cause of death. A war crimes investigation is now underway to hold accountable those responsible for her suffering. The Guardian's collaborative investigation, which involved over 50 interviews with survivors and families of detainees, paints a grim picture of the systematic abuse of civilians in occupied territories. Reports indicate that as many as 16,000 civilians are believed to be held without charge, facing inhumane conditions in over 180 facilities across occupied Ukraine and Russia. Roshchina's case is not just an isolated incident. It is part of a broader pattern of human rights violations that have largely gone unreported amid the ongoing conflict. Roshchina's story resonates deeply within the context of Ukraine's struggle against Russian aggression. Growing up in the shadow of war, she was inspired by personal experiences of conflict, including her father's service in Afghanistan and the annexation of Crimea. Her commitment to journalism was evident as she sought to document the realities of war, often at great personal risk. Her final reporting expedition was aimed at uncovering the locations of secret detention sites where Russian security forces allegedly tortured civilians. Tragically, her determination to reveal the truth led to her abduction and death, underscoring the high stakes for journalists operating in war-torn regions. The lack of accountability for such atrocities raises pressing questions about the future of press freedom and human rights in Ukraine and beyond. As Roshchina's family continues to seek answers and justice, her legacy as a courageous journalist who fought for truth and transparency will endure. As the conflict continues to evolve, the international community faces a critical moment to advocate for the protection of journalists and civilians caught in the crossfire. Roshchina's story is a stark reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of truth and the urgent need for global awareness and action against the systemic violations occurring in the context of war. The hope remains that her tragic fate will galvanize efforts to protect those who risk their lives to document the realities of conflict and uphold the values of freedom and justice.